Hi, I'm Jeff. This is Tropical Plants at 53 degrees north. Now, when I first started growing tropical plants a couple of years ago now, I was looking to see what this mystical thing was called RO water that I'd heard and seen quite a lot about. And although there were all sorts of videos and information kind of dotted sporadically over the internet, there was nothing that really addressed what I was looking for in terms of what it was used for, and how I went about using it. So I'm hoping that today this video will address that issue. Let's get started. Okay, so as we take a look at some of my Epidendrums that have, well, this one on the left anyway, this is Comet Valley, and this one's taken a good 2 years to rebloom after I dissolved all the roots with too much water, or rotted all the roots I should say. And the one on the right is a new one that I've got, Ballerina, that one's called, a deeper orange, really nice. The one on the left is going to have lots and lots of flower spikes, so I'm looking forward to that coming. So anyway, this video is all about RO water. I'm going to start off by just saying that, yeah, I know lots of subscribers know what this is. This is really to address that query that people may have who are new to growing tropical plants, and it's not just orchids that you know, it's kind of advised to use RO water. So we'll start off with what is RO water. Well, obviously it stands for reverse osmosis water, and one of the questions that crops up quite a lot is what's the difference between RO water and distilled water? Well, the fact is nothing. There is no difference. The result is the same. What we're looking at here, the difference in names, we're looking at the actual method to produce them. What we're really saying is that providing you have one method of doing it, whether it's distillation or whether it's reverse osmosis, doesn't really matter. The result is what you're after, which is, of course, water that is clean, water that is clear from impurities, that has no dissolved solids in it, it has no minerals in it. And in terms of a plant, minerals mean nutrients. So when we are going to water our plants by using some water that we've already put through some kind of filtration system, then we know what we're starting with. If I was to use water straight from my tap, then it would have all sorts of things in it, which does kind of make you a little bit worried that we're drinking it, but anyway, nevertheless. It has, certainly where I live, it's very hard water, it has lots of calcium in it, it has chlorine put in it for reasons that only the authorities know. It has all sorts of things in it to try and make it so that it's suitable for human consumption. But what is suitable for human consumption, for some reason, doesn't seem to be suitable for plant consumption. What we're trying to do here by using RO water as a grower, we are trying to control with a very fine level of detail what our plants are receiving. So when you get your water system set up and you have some RO water, then you know that that water is very clean and clear of all these impurities, and you can start adding whatever you want then in terms of fertilization. So if you want to add a bit extra magnesium, or if you want to add just a general purpose feed, then you can do. And that's really basically what RO water is. So it's the same as distilled water, it's just that the names refer to the different processes of achieving it. So why do we use it? Already kind of referred to that, but it's not just orchids that we use it for. Orchids are a particular case in point because orchids don't like to be really overfed. They're quite sensitive to fertilization, and you've got to be careful what you give them and how much you give them. Lots of temperate plants aren't quite so sensitive, although there are some quite well-known examples, like camellias, for example, don't like to be in a really alkaline soil, they like to be in an acidic soil. So what you've got to try and do there is you've got to control the media that they're in. And the same will go for the water that you give them. Now, it's not quite so bad, not quite so tricky when they're outside, because they're going to get rainwater anyway. And in actual fact, you know, rainwater and distilled water and RO water aside, rainwater is still the best and the freest option. If you have some means of storing rainwater, some means of collecting rainwater, then you're set up, you're fine, providing it rains a lot. And we'll come back to that in a little while. So, in answer to the question, why do we use water, RO water on tropical plants? Well, we use it on orchids, we just discussed why. We use it also on carnivorous plants. Now, carnivorous plants are a particular case in point because they have adapted particularly for their natural habitat, whereby they produce these appendages, these pitchers and traps and various methods. There's another one here, a sundew down here. Various methods of supplementing their own diet, and I say diet in inverted commas, because where they live are naturally low in nutrients. The boggy areas that they live in, or the forested areas where sphagnum moss, whatever it is, whether they be up on a tree, if they're epiphytic, or even if they're on the forest floor, it's very low in nutrients. So they've adapted these leaves and appendages here so that they can get more of those nutrients from, you know, passing insects and whatnot. So we use RO water on those, and it's RO water without actually putting anything in it or adding anything to it. So it's not just orchids. Now obviously with orchids we're saying we're starting from a clean slate, and then what we're doing is we're adding the elements that we want in order to give them the feed that it's recommended, or the fertilization minerals that's recommended. But for carnivorous plants, we're doing it to starve them in effect, so that they will produce these lovely pictures and they will try to gain their nutrition in the way that is pleasing to us. You could apply that equally to any plant that you know that is a little bit sensitive to what kind of minerals that it's getting. Then RO water is a good starting point. We've already said other plants, you know, not just orchids or nepenthes and sundews and those kind of carnivorous plants. There are other plants that might be a little bit more sensitive, and using RO water gives you that control. So why not use rainwater? Well, yeah, as I said it initially, rainwater is a great alternative, and it's probably the best alternative for most people, because RO water can be quite expensive, which I'll come to in a little while. So what I want to do here is I will show you my rainwater setup, and we'll discuss, you know, where and when I use rainwater.
So here we are just outside my greenhouse, and this is one of the water barrels that I have, and as you can see, this one is fed through a drain pipe from the garage roof. So I will get the rain that falls and collects in the gutters, and of course collects then in the barrel. The other barrel you can see there is actually feeding the hydrofogger, and that's just water that I have to fill from the tap because it's got to be very clear. But this other barrel here, this is my other rainwater collection barrel, and this is fed from both sides of the greenhouse roof. You can see this gutter here that feeds along from the right hand side of the greenhouse roof and feeds down there through this gutter and into this rain barrel, and of course the other side of the roof, and it comes down there too. So I've got both of them, so that does fill up quite quickly. I use rainwater for the majority of the time, except when it's been really dry like it is now, because these trees drop an awful lot onto both of the roofs, and when it's not rained for ages, that means there's a lot of build up, and the rain that comes into the barrel then is very, very high in the dissolved minerals, so I've got to then use the RO water, which is what I'm doing at the moment.
Okay, so are there any disadvantages of using RO water? Well, yes, there are. One of the main ones is that it takes forever. Once you set up your RO filtration system on an inside tap, or an outside tap in my case, but it's the same water, it's the mains water, then you'll find the two pipes that come from it, the one that drips by far with the most powerful stream of water is the waste, the black one in my case. The nice good stuff, the clear stuff, as you'd expect, is a little trickle. So you end up with a great big pile of waste. Now, if you have the means to store that and save it and use it around the garden, then I suppose it's not wasted, is it? Although you will pay for it. So that is definitely a big negative point to using RO water. It does produce a lot of waste. If you can manage to somehow store it and reuse it on something else, bear in mind that it will be the section of water, or the proportion of water that's going to have all the impurities in it. So again, if you're watering in something that's in a pot outside, you might want to make sure that those impurities are not going to cause a problem. If it's going on the soil or plant in the garden, then that doesn't matter. Another disadvantage of using RO water is that the filters don't indicate when they're past their best. They don't last forever like any water filter. So what you might want to do is make sure that you are checking the resulting clean water, and you would do that with a TDS meter, which will then measure the dissolved solids that's in there and tell you whether that filter is actually working and giving you a resulting water that's very low in parts per million in dissolved solids. So how do you do it? Well, what I did, I bought a 3-stage RO unit from Amazon, and it's one that was suitable from an aquarium, and it cost me under £40, and of course you can get replacement filters for it, and I'll show you my setup and how I go about getting it all kicked off and started. So I don't use mine that much. I'm using it at the moment because we've got some really weird weather in the UK. Over this last 3 years we had 2018, which was very, very hot and dry. Then 2019 was the opposite. It was record wet weather all the way through the year. This year in 2020 we also have yet another record dry spring so far, and it's not rained for ages. And what that does, with all the trees dropping everything onto the greenhouse and the garage roof, that means that there's going to be a lot more dissolved solids in that resulting rainwater, which is being stored in my barrels. So it's just way too much for my carnivorous plants and my orchids. So what I'm having to do is dig out the RO water, and I'm having to leave it on for hours on end in order to produce the water that I need. So yeah, the cheapest option is definitely the rainwater, but if you're going to use some RO water, it's almost like having rainwater on tap. So I'll show you how I do mine and how I set it up.
So this is my RO water unit. It's got 3 filters to it, and you can see I've just strapped it to a board just for ease of carrying it about. So what we have here, we have just a strap going round it. It's nothing fancy, just holds it in place. So we've got this is the feed that comes from the outside tap, and that travels, or there's also a couple of outward facing pipes where the water comes out of, which I'll show you in a second. So once the tap's on, the water is going to feed down this white pipe, and it will feed along there and into the first of the filters, 3 filters, travels along that one, down to the bottom filter, through that one, and then through the large filter in the centre, and that's where you've got your 2 outputs. So the black one, I've got that just feeding into any kind of container will do, and you can see it's quite a steady stream. That's your waste. That's going to be full of dissolved minerals, and the lesser dripping stream, the slight drip on there, I've got that going into a barrel. That's the blue tube, and that's the stuff that you want. That's the clean fresh water.
Okay, so I hope that was useful to some people, especially if you're new to growing orchids and growing carnivorous plants, or anything really that you want that really fine granular control over what you're giving your plants in terms of water. That's a very simplified version of how it all works. If you have any questions, stick them in the comments, and of course I'm sure many of my subscribers are world's experts at using RO water and measuring pHs and TDSs and how much proportion of this and proportion of that goes into the watering and the feed. So if you are one of those people, I would love to hear from you. I'd love to get more insight into what it is that we do here to make our plants grow better and stronger, and of course produce those wonderful blooms that we all love to look at. So if you're one of those people, I look forward to seeing your pearls of wisdom in the comments, and for now I will see you on the next one. Bye.